And for Venus to have her power, she needs to be at least 10 degrees away from the sun. Now, when you look at Pluto and all the aspects it makes at this new moon, pretty darn big, isn't it? Alrighty. Welcome. It's G. And I was going to say Taffy, but that was Zoe. I don't know what she's up to. I know she just wants to sit with somebody because she's missing her other humans, and I'm the only one here, and she wanted to sit in my lap, and I could see her just staring at me. She's just been sitting here on this corner and staring at my hand, staring at me like she wants to sit. She wants to be held. And normally she can gets comfy crawled right up on the shoulder like a baby, but yeah, she saw my hands were going to be as busy and was like, I'm getting the hell out of here. Like, okay, you do that. So we're going to look at a chart. Yeah, surprise, surprise. This is a new moon that's coming up in May. Again, Venus, again. Of course, it's that time of year, right? It's Venus's time. But it's Venus and Pluto. Pretty strong here. But Saturn's involved. So, yeah, there's interesting stuff happening. And there's quite a lot of power in Taurus, which matters. Because at this time of year, when you have Venus so close, you have Venus like 8 degrees away from the sun. In order for Venus to not be combust, it should be like a 10 degrees of separation between the two. Well, with this new moon, Venus is less than 10 degrees from the sun. Pluto is intense. Pluto's power, Venus is money, Venus is values. Interesting, right? Look at this. And we're going to look at it from the angle from Pluto. This is the April new moon, and it is for May 7th. It is a new moon in Taurus energy, which means that Venus rules the new moon. Why? Yeah, you know why. Because Venus rules Taurus, and that's how that works, okay? It's just that simple, damn it. Okay, so Venus's values, desire, money, money in the bank, love, self-worth. Taurus energy is the earth, right? Yeah. Venus. I saw this really small little clip, and it said, the evil sister of Earth, Venus. And I was like, what the hell? Why would you say that shit? I realized the planet Venus is super hot. But to call it the evil sister of Earth? I don't know. That was a little extreme, to say the least. So in this chart, we're going to look at the moon and the sun, because the sun and the moon together create a new moon. That's the way it works. The sun and the moon at 18. So we're having a Taurus new moon at 18 degrees, new beginnings. A new cycle begins. This is where the moon is actually black in the sky. You will not see it. The moon is combust. Well, anyway, there's a whole bunch of other technicalities involved in that, but it's the sun and the moon together. The sun is considered masculine energy, the father. The moon is considered mother energy, the mother, feminine energy. Feminine energy, the mother. The sun is an authority figure, a boss in your life, someone who's in charge, right? Without the sun, we would die. We need the sun to live. It supplies light and energy, your battery, literally your energy, your heart energy. I don't say this enough. The sun, your heart energy. And I guess it's coming out loudly right now because it's the sun in Taurus and it squares Leo. That's my logic part of it. But yeah, Leo energy is also the sun because the sun rules the sign of Leo. Yep, the sun rules Leo energy. So you're always, whenever you talk Leo, you always got to think your heart. You always got to think the sun. Yeah. Okay. But Leo is fixed energy. It's fixed fire. Okay. And Taurus energy is fixed earth. Yeah, they're both fixed, which means because they have the same energies, they square each other. That's how that whole fixed and trine shit works. That's what makes it square and angle up in a difficult way, is if it shares the same energy. Actually, there's a couple of things at 16, which means the moon had already squared this, you know, hours before. The sun had squared it 2 days before. So there is 3 items here at 16, like 17 degrees. So technically we do call these a square. All right. It's Leo energy. If you got something in your chart at 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 degrees, then technically we would say you have a square. Okay. To the to the new moon energy. And I'll just draw that out because there's the new moon. And I'll put that over there. I'll just put up red, okay? Because that's where it is. So that means that at the opposite of Leo would be the square to this new moon. The opposite of Leo is Aquarius. So we'll go there. And we kind of got something here. We got Cheroklo at 1745, 17. So Cheroklo is also squaring the new moon. All right. Cheroklo is a witness, the wife of Chiron, somebody who the feminine energy who watches somebody else in pain. Interesting because it's Chiron and it's in Aquarius, so it's group energy and it's social services, it's humanitarian causes and needs. It's I think shipping and the airline industry, because it's also large inventions, things that helped the advancement of humanity. Yeah. So we think the airlines and anything that's, tech, also technology for sure. So 1745. So that creates a T square within the new moon. There is a T square there. All right. Now I know there's a lot of lines here behind the scenes. So the fixed energy of the T square, well, it's fixed. So fixed can be uncomfortable. All right. If you have anything in Scorpio at 18, or I should say 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, right? Then that would create a great square or a great cross. And in the reality, I think a square helps balance out the T square. You see, because then it kind of gives us these four sides as opposed to just having the difficult T square. It's almost like that extra T square on the other side creates there is some uncomfortableness there, but it almost balances it out. I don't know how else to put it. It's just a balancing factor. Like that's actually the teaching that if you're suffering from the uncomfortableness and the stress and the tension of your T square energy, that the best thing to do is to focus on the energy that is at the opposite of it, which would be right here, the Scorpio at 18, 16 to 20 would be the Scorpio. So it's shared values, natural resources, shared natural resources. You can be something that's below the surface. So, you think like things you got to drill for, things you got to dig for. Yeah. Yep. This is also inheritances and insurances. So the focus would be on stuff like that. Now it's Scorpio, and Scorpio energy can be quite deep and emotional and tragic energy. So we can think even war because Pluto and Mars rule Scorpio energy, right? So there might be wounds from the past. It's Scorpio, it's deep, it's personal, it's our vulnerabilities. It likely comes from tragic stuff. And when we think insurance and when we think like sometimes natural disasters when they happen, or if there is a war going on for wherever we may be living and living through, and innocent, civilians and bystanders, whether it's a natural war or whatever, insurance companies have to pay out sometimes. And so this whole thing is just to explain Scorpio energy. It's not me saying we're going to have these natural disasters. It's not me saying you're going to, be a victim of war or be, a casualty. I'm not saying any of that at all. It's just to explain the intensity of Scorpio and Pluto energy. These people are warriors. They've been through the battles. They've got the scars. They've got the damn scars. And these are kind of scars that you don't necessarily see on the surface because they're buried deep. You follow? That's Scorpio stuff. Okay. So blood money, When I say blood money, that sounds really bad, but it's really like, you know, you inherit something because you're related to somebody by blood typically, although you can inherit money whether you're inherited or whether you're related or not. But you get what I'm saying. All right, so the new moon, that was just to explain some of the stress and tensions that are possible. Okay. Now, the new moon itself being having Venus as its ruler here, her whole purpose here can be a little bit lessened or weakened because as I started talking about, she's right there. You see her? Yeah, she's right there at 10 degrees. Okay. So at 10 degrees and the new moon at 18, there's an 8-degree difference. And for Venus to have her power, she needs to be at least 10 degrees away from the sun. That is a rule for all planets typically. Like that's just a standing astrology rule. But here's the thing. Here's my take on it. There's a lot of Taurus energy on this chart. Look at all the freaking Taurus. If I can grab an arrow. So you got the sun and the moon there. So they're expressing Taurus energy because the sun and the moon are there. Right? Let's pretend Venus wasn't in the sign. That's okay. The sun and moon are there. But it's a really big Venus event because Venus is in Taurus, right? Yes, Pan is there. That's not Hermes, that's Pan. So Pan, god of shepherds, hunters, the meadows, the forest. So it's really earthy energy in a way, right? However, it is the unseen presence. So when we think of like the nature spirits and stuff, yeah, nature spirits, it's the unseen presence. And it could even arouse people. The word pan for panic, right? It's the son of Hermes, okay? It discards the rules to give into desires, animal nature. So it's very kind of like an instinctual energy. So because it's in Taurus, the desire nature is going to be strong. So Venus energy again comes through with Pan, right? Now Pan is at 9 degrees, right? 9. Pan is with Venus. Pan's at 9, Venus is at 10. So they're together. And it's like Taurus energy, desires, money, banking is a big deal. Okay. So when you have a new moon in Venus, it's about a new beginning with Taurus themes, the earth, all things with the earth. That's the planet, that's the animal, that's her resources, her natural resources, that's your values, that's your money in the bank. It is banking. It is also self self-love, self-worth is what I wanted to say. Self-love, self-worth. Okay? So Venus in Taurus and Venus ruling the new moon, likely there will be a new value, a new priority based on a new set of values. And I'm saying this because I've been looking and looking at this chart, and with all this energy, Jupiter is really strong, and so is Pluto. I've got a lot of green lines drawn from Pluto. Pluto's at 2 degrees. Okay, that degree and all that Taurus energy, well, you might as well say that this is Taurus energy here as well. So it just comes down to values, but it can be part of banking. And it's a structure because it's Aquarius and we think Saturn. So we think restructuring values, restructuring money, maybe restructuring the power grid, maybe putting money towards the grids, maybe putting money towards social causes, humanitarian aid, maybe putting money towards the space program. We think Aquarius energy. We think of global systems. We think of what's the example I was giving in that other video, Fed Pay, because this is digital payments, Pluto and the Taurus themes, and a restructuring of digital payments, a restructuring. And I shouldn't say digital payments as in like a digital dollar or, I mean, we can, of course, talk about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency for sure. But what the Fed Pay thing, if you look it up for yourself by the Federal Reserve of the United States, if you go check Go to their website, make sure it's a .gov website, or they even have a YouTube channel. You can get information there. And it's kind of explaining a new payment system, POS, a point of sale payment system almost, where you don't have to wait for bank processing times. Well, you need to make your car payment or you need to pay the light bill. You know how you can send a check in and there's that delay thing, or you want to do your credit card, but then you got to call and you got to, I don't know. Yeah. Sometimes there's delays and sometimes there's that lag and there's a wait. And so the idea is to kind of, for lack of a better word, kind of corral the payment systems so that you can press that button and it's an instant acknowledgement from the receiver and an instant notification back to you that payment has been made. Right. So it's restructuring the way we handle our values, bottom line, right? So this will likely develop and evolve and look a lot of different ways, and I'm sure some will have a fit. And so in the US, it's trying to update because it's using something that hasn't been used. It's a new system. It's different. It's absolutely going to be different. It's going to make things way faster, way faster. It's unconventional. So, people get freaked out over things that are unconventional. And I just think that this Pluto energy and the transformation on a deep level, it's going after stuff that's old and outdated. That's Pluto. So this can be the grid, literally the grid, right? Um, there's a lot of different things here, a lot of different things and a lot of different ways this can look. Okay. I know we've talked about people talking about emotions and talking about their values and expressing them in a group environment and those ideas. Aquarius energy, yes, that can be part of it too. This is intellect, ideas, and creating something for sure. Science and astrology and space, absolutely. Now, when you look at Pluto and all the aspects it makes at this new moon, it's all the green lines. Those are Pluto's aspects. Pretty darn big, isn't it? Right? So you've got Pluto at 2 degrees, and a couple of days right before this, I have a green line drawn. Venus would have been squaring Pluto. Yeah, Venus would have squared Pluto. So deep, intense connections through values. But there's tension and square. Usually has to do with the past, but it's deep. It goes way back. Okay. Power is involved because it's Pluto. And I don't mean like the grid power. That's one example. I mean power as in the wealthy, the elite, authoritarians. There's power, but it can be government power too because Saturn is an ancient ruler of Aquarius. So structure, organization, right? We got to remember that. It's not just Uranus. It's Saturn as well. Okay? So there can be those who are going to be like, "Oh hell no, we're not doing this. We want freedom." And they might think that their freedoms are trying to be stolen from them or taken away. And that brings up Mercury at 21 conjunct Chiron, exactly at 21. Look at that. They're both at 21 degrees. Mercury and Chiron, the wounds of my body, my right to exist. My right to exist. Some are going to scream freedom of speech, right? Freedom of speech or the freedom to do with my body, as I please with my body, right? There's going to be a whole lot of different perspectives on this. Choices and options, Mercury, news, Mercury. What's in the news? What are we hearing about? It's Aries, so probably war, abuses, wounds of the body, maybe even to the head. We think soldiers, we think Marines, the head, right? Not using the head instead of the head, using weapons instead of words, or using your words as weapons. This is impulsive energy. It's quick to anger, slow to understand, slow to think. But we think of social media when we think Aquarius too. I'm sorry, social media when we see Mercury. Social media, we think TikTok. We think you can't take this away from us, right? We think what about my rights? Because it's youthful energy. It's Aries energy. My right to exist, body autonomy, the color of my skin, the way I identify, my freedoms, all that's here, right? So we're hearing about that. And I'm hearing over and over Nex in my head, big time. Nex. Nex's last name is escaping me at this moment, which is so weird because I kept hearing Nex's first and last name right before I recorded this video, and I should have wrote it down. It's gone now. So Nex is no longer alive. For those of you who know the story, you can put the story in down below because I'm probably going to remember some things wrong or whatever and educate some other people who are watching. Nex, I believe, was identified as non-binary, and Nex had been in school, going to school, and there was a video, and I watched the video, the camera from the school, because I was so like upset over it. Nex went into the bathroom, and you see Nex going into the bathroom with two of her friends, I think it was, or maybe one other friend. I could be wrong. Anyway, on the security cameras in the school, you see like 3 other people walk into the bathroom, and then another. I mean, the video is like 10 minutes long. And the whole time I'm looking, okay, is anybody coming out of that bathroom? And so you don't really see, you see like 10 people have gone into this bathroom, right? And you're thinking, holy shit, what the hell's going on in this bathroom? And there's no audio, you know? So, well, it turns out they got beat up in the bathroom. And so next, and I think there were some other people that got injured too, because with a lot of people, right? So they were all checked out by the school nurse, and then Nex's guardian or mom or parent figure came by, and they recommended that Nex go and get checked out, like go to the hospital. So they did that. They went to some urgent care thing, and they checked, did whatever. I don't know the details. And then the next day, Nex was dead. The next day, mom went into the room, or dad, the parents went into the room and found, I think Nex was either unresponsive. I don't know the details of it. I just know that Nex was dead the next day. And this event, Nex in school and getting harassed and beat up, this wasn't new, and this isn't new. Okay. So there's a lot of definitions. There's a lot of meanings. There's a lot of different ways this is going to look in your life for you. But those key words, the freedom of my body autonomy, my right to exist and to identify as I wish. And then, of course, the aggressive nature of Aries, right? So the new moon is about values. It's Venus. It's about our values. All right. I tied in the Pluto stuff because Venus was squaring Pluto a few days before. And this Pluto is trining Sedna. Pluto is retrograding backwards from 2 degrees and trining Sedna in Gemini. So again, that's Mercury, that's information, that's communication. And where's Mercury? In Aries. We think aggressive energy. I think of librarians. If you look here, this is at 2 degrees. The 2 Venuses, interesting, right? The 2 Venuses and Pallas Athena at 2 degrees. Pallas Athena, the 2 Venuses at 0.59, so 1 degrees. So that's a powerful sextile. It has to do with Jupiter because it's Saggy. So rulings and judgments, beliefs, and freedom is a big deal with Jupiter. Remember, I mentioned Jupiter up here. Freedoms, opinion. It's also foreigners, foreign lands, foreign languages, immigration and emigration. Someone who's not white, someone who is white, someone who's yellow, brown, black, right? These are people who look different. They're different from you. People from across the ocean, okay? Saturn is at 17 next to Nessa. This is enough to create a strong sextile to this new moon. There is some sort of a structure, some regulations, some ruling within Pisces energy, within institutional energy. It can be medicine. It can be supplies being supplied to individuals. This can be to Ukraine. This can be to Gaza. There can be supplies that are coming on board here because it's money, and it can be the Navy. We got Saturn and Nessa together. Okay. This is really, really loaded. I haven't mentioned vertex. At the time of this new moon, vertex is at 10 degrees in Pisces. 10 degrees in Pisces. And where is Venus? What did I say at the beginning? Venus is at 10 degrees with Pan. 10 degrees, a strong sextile with the point of fate. Vertex and Venus. Vertex and Venus. Venus and Pan, which would have been literally just a few days before the new moon began, because it's Pluto, so it moves slow. And it's a process that has to absolutely do with values and a restructuring of what we value, and a building process. Saturn, a building process, because Saturn is an ancient ruler of Aquarius, and Saturn is over here in Pisces to build something, to create order and structure. And it's an exact sextile to Venus energy. And there's so much Taurus. So Venus energy is really strong. Jupiter, Uranus, right? Something different, something new. It can be digital. There's just so freaking much here. So much. It's about beliefs. It's about possibly rulings in the judicial system, within the Supreme Court, within the federal justices of the state that you live in, for wherever you are in the world, whatever country you live in, any kind of, I don't think anybody beats America when it comes to court cases and lawyers. Like, we got the gold medal in that, and weapons, right? But spirituality, Sagittarius and Jupiter, overseas and water, Jupiter energy, Sagittarius energy can be beautiful, beneficial, and can be supportive, and bring some sort of like a protective bubble even. The Saggy energy can also be the airlines, right? Because it's traveling. That's Saggy. Like, I'm going on vacation, or I'm going on a journey. I'm going to explore. It's really confident energy. You think about a judge in a courtroom, really confident energy. And if you look at 10 degrees, we got something. Antar is at 10 degrees. 10. Yeah, that's a square to vertex. That 10 degrees vertex point moves really fast. That is a square. But Pluto is behind the scenes doing what needs to be done, is taking care of what's really outdated and what needs to be fixed. Remember the grid and the storms and power lines going down, and then fires, and we're losing vegetation and animals, and people are losing homes, right? So there's a lot of that here where the values need to be reprioritized, okay? Aldebaran is in an opposition with Antares. This happens all the time. This is always here because these are fixed stars. But remember, the vertex point is at 10 in Pisces. Saggy is mutable fire. Pisces is mutable water. Gemini is mutable air. But they square each other because they share the same energy. They're all mutable energy. You follow? So it's stress and tension. It's a big, great, mutable cross in the chart. But it looks like fate has a hand in it, because your anti-vertex and your vertex are fate. Has a hand in this. Clean clothing and hygiene. And it's the necessities. It's food. It's shelter. Pisces is medicine. So when I talk about support, whether it's support by cash or support by goods, overall, there's a lot about beliefs here. There's a lot about prayer. There's a lot about unity and understanding, because Pisces and Jupiter are a big deal. So is Venus in this chart. It's a big deal. Oh, Neptune's at 29. I kind of forgot to mention that part. There's an arrow. Neptune's at 29 and stays here for a while. Critical degree stays here for a while, doesn't go retrograde because it's such a slow mover. It's going to be a couple more months before this retrograde begins. So you got to think unity, understanding, surrender, peace. Can be illusions and delusions, of course, and conspiracy theories and politics and all that stuff I don't even want to talk about. But it's part of our world for us in the States with an election coming. But the bigger, beautiful, more wonderful thing to talk about for me is the surrender and the peace. And can we just freaking get along already? So on that note, remember, Venus wants peace. This is a new moon. Even though Venus is close to the sun and the moon, there's a ton of Taurus energy that keeps me really hopeful and optimistic for a new beginning that's more than just about money. That's a reprioritizing of values, and hopefully the value of all life. Thank you for your time. Know that I always appreciate it. I appreciate you. Comment below if you've got any questions about where this affects you in your life, and we'll start up a conversation. Comment below. I'll see you in the next one, okay? Bye-bye.